What's going on, people? Welcome to another edition of Baseball Talk. We're talking Philadelphia Phillies today. They get their first road series win in 2 years. 2 years. It's been that long. It's crazy. I know last year was the pandemic shortened season, but it's still crazy to think 2 years the Phillies finally get a road series win in a crazy game last night, in which it came down. They had 2 outs last night to down 2-1. Looked like they were going to lose until an Odubel Herrera bat flip home run. And they get the win in extras last night thanks to a big 3-for-5 night from Bryce Harper. Hector Neris closes it out. And I bring back today Section 215's fan-sided editors, David Esser. David, the Phillies finally get their first road series win in forever. What's up? How are you feeling?
Yeah, first and foremost, thanks for having me back on. I was getting ready to pester Francisco about bringing me back on the pod, so I'm happy to be here. But yeah, first road series since September of 2019 when they dropped that statistic, it was kind of eye opening just how bad they've been on the road. But look, they did it. The bad juju's gone. They got the win. So yeah, it's good vibes at the moment.
Yeah. What have you seen so far? Let's just talk about through the season. They're 20-7, or not 20-17. They're 20-17. They're second in the NL East. What have you seen so far from this team? To a month and a half through the season so far.
Yeah, and I think you're going to agree with me on this take. I haven't been all that impressed with the Phillies thus far. I think we kind of do this thing after every win where it's like, oh, we're only one game back. They're the first team in the National League East to get to 20 wins. And like, I hear all that. I understand that a lot of the teams in the National League haven't looked great this year. So they're kind of still right in the middle of that pack. I think there's a lot of questions regarding this roster, questions that we thought were going to be questions in the offseason, some questions that we thought were going to be solidified in the offseason and weren't. So look, 20-17, all things considered, it could be a whole lot worse. But you kind of look at some of the games they've dropped, specifically against Atlanta, against San Francisco, against Colorado, like when you reflect back on that series. And I'm like, they should be sitting here at like 25, 26 wins, and they're not. So I haven't been thrilled. Again, over 500, you can't complain too much. But I definitely think there's a ton of room for improvement if this team really wants to, contend this year and get to the postseason.
Yeah, I'm totally right there with you. They haven't exceeded my expectations. They're not underperforming. They're right where I thought they would be at. You got 1, 2, 3, Nola, Wheeler. Eflin's been good so far, but you know how I feel about Eflin. He's got to prove it through 162 games. We're only a month and a half into the season, and technically he's our second best pitcher right now. Even though we all know Aaron Nola is the ace. I want to set that straight. As good as Zach Wheeler has been this year, Aaron Nola is still the ace of the staff. Does that annoy you at all that, like, it seems like it's a game-to-game thing with Nola, and I hate that Philadelphia fans do this. They do the same thing with Ben Simmons. They do the same thing with Joel Embiid. They do the same thing with you can just go about. There's a lot of personalities, a lot of athletes in Philadelphia they do this with, and Aaron Nola has a great start. He gets his first complete game shutout, which was a few weeks ago, and there's people that applauded him. The fans that know that how good of a pitcher he is, and then there's the haters that want to say whatever they want to say about him being an ace or not being an ace, and they have nothing to say. They're just quiet. So what's your thoughts about the ace of the staff so far, Aaron Nola?
Well, full transparency. Last time I was on here, we had that discussion about what constitutes an ace, and that was less about Nola and more about like is the phrase too commonly thrown around because there was people talking like, oh, the Phillies have 3 aces. I'm like, well, they don't. That was fine. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Aaron Nola, look, he's still been good this year. He's still going to have a good season when it's all said and done. But yeah, you don't define players like start by start. It's not, oh, he was an ace this week and then not an ace that week. It's a whole thing. Like, he's clearly an ace. He's clearly the best pitcher of the staff. And that's no shot to Wheeler. Look, he had another productive night. He had his own complete game shutout earlier this season. So definitely been happy with those two. I'm right there with you with Eflin. Dude's been great this year. But again, let's pump the brakes on calling him an elite starter until he puts it together over a full 162.
Yeah, and I mean, let's get it straight though. And I want to give respect where I want to give it. Zach Wheeler has been their best pitcher this year. He has been. You look at the numbers, he has the lowest ERA. He strikeout rate right up there. He's been their best pitcher. I want to put that out there. Just because he's been their best pitcher doesn't mean I wouldn't. I would still, if it came down to it, to the last game of the season, I'm still putting Aaron Nola out there. He's your best shot, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm putting Aaron Nola out there. But let's talk about back end of the rotation. Chase Anderson, Matt Moore haven't been good. To be kind of fair, I mean, it's not really. I mean, Matt Moore hasn't been good, but Matt Moore's been hurt this year a little bit. But regardless, neither have been good. What are your thoughts on what you've seen from those two so far, and what should Joe Girardi do about it going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really, really disappointed with the back end of the rotation, and that's one of the biggest reasons I've yet to jump all in on the Phillies and be like, oh, this is a team that's going to make the postseason 100%. Because those two, I mean, Matt Moore, I mean, he's out of the rotation completely. I don't see him going back anytime. So I think they're just done with that experiment. That's $3 million down the drain. And you look at a guy like John Lester last night, who only signed for $5 million. He went
Yeah.
six strong. And it's like
Yeah.
the Phillies, for whatever reason, because I kind of expected things to be different with Dombrowski, they keep swinging and missing on these back end of the rotation moves. And now we're on year 6 of the Vince Velasquez experiment. And look, he's pitched well. I'll give him that, but we're still kind of capping him off at that. Oh, well, that was a gutsy 5 1/3. And it's like, when are we gonna get a number 4 to number 5 starter with just a little bit of upside? Because Chase Anderson, that was another guy I was feeling really good about heading into the season. Francisco, he's yet to record an out past the 5th inning. Like, that's horrible. That's really, really bad. So yeah, not feeling great about the number 4 and number 5 spot at all.
Well, we'll get to Velasquez in a second. So let's talk about Chase Anderson though, because if you look at his numbers through the first two times in the order, he's a good pitcher. He's a very good pitcher. He's batting average below like 225, 230. But then you get to the third time through the order, and it's like, smaller sample size, but it doesn't matter. Smaller sample size for a reason, because the batting average goes up to way over 300, on base is way over 400, Hall of Fame type of numbers. So I want to ask you, do you feel like maybe the Phillies, because I think Girardi's been kind of open to it. Girardi's kind of in the middle. He's not an analytics guy, but he's not. I guess if you want to say he's more of an old school guy, but he's open to the analytics, the sabermetrics. He's right in the middle. Um, would you be open to let's say the Phillies decide, let's go Tampa Bay Rays route. This isn't working right now. We know Chase Anderson's good first two times in the lineup. Why don't we throw Sam Coonrod out first 2 innings of the game? He's been really good. He's been our best reliever. Throw him out first 1, 2, maybe 3 innings. Then you throw Chase Anderson 4th through the 7th, 8th inning, and then you get Hector Neris to come out there in the 9th. Um, I mean, I don't know how you would feel about that, but at this point, the back end of the rotation is not good. If you're going to experiment, why not? I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, me personally speaking, I'm all in on that idea. And you kind of look at a guy like Ranger Suarez, who's finally back healthy. That's another option who could give you, 2 innings once a week, 3 innings once a week. So yeah, I think that'd be an excellent idea. Do I think the minds of Joe Girardi and Dave Dombrowski are going to sit down and get to that conclusion? Absolutely not. There's zero chance. But yeah, I'd absolutely be open to it. And, even looking further down the road, if they can go get a real number 4 starter, then you could even start looking at maybe having Anderson and Velasquez pitch on the same day, kind of banking on the idea of getting 7 to 8 innings from that duo once a week. Again, I don't think this current leadership pool is creative enough or analytically savvy enough to do such an idea. But I'm right there with you that I think it would be probably more productive than what they're getting at the moment.
So let's talk about Vince Velasquez.
Trade him. Like,
Trade him.
I've been very consistent in this point since the offseason started. I was shocked to see them extend a contract to him when he was set to hit arbitration. Like, just trade him. What's the point? You know what he is. He doesn't want to pitch in the bullpen. He's repeatedly come out and said he's a starting pitcher. Like, Vince, you're just not.
You said we should trade Velasquez right before the season starts. Like I said, I agree with you. Let's check the temperature though. Like, he's been pretty good the last couple starts. Fans are like, oh, maybe he's that guy. Well, how do you feel? What are we doing with Vinny Velo right now?
Francisco, tell me right now, is this not the highest Vince Velasquez's trade value has ever been? I'm just
Yeah, I mean,
throwing
why
it
not?
out there. Look,
Yeah.
we know, and I'm proud of the guy. I'm proud of him for battling through some adversity, for kind of jumping to the challenge and being thrown back in the rotation because we all know that's what he wanted. He wanted to be a starting pitcher. He's been very good recently. With that said, how long is this going to be sustainable for? If you look at his career numbers, this is not a guy you can rely on for full 162. Can he give you a few spot starts like he has been? Sure, he's doing a good job of that.
He's done that. Yeah.
Is he going to give you 6 innings once a week for the entire season? There's no chance. I'm not buying into the notion that he's finally, you know, turn the corner and this is the year he breaks out. So would I trade him? No, because Matt Moore and Chase Anderson haven't proven, and even Spencer Howard, who's still down in the minor leagues, like these guys aren't really factors at the moment. So you just need the innings from Vince Velasquez. But I'm still actively looking to get him out of the rotation moving forward because he's not a guy who I think can pitch on a playoff caliber roster.
Yeah, neither do I. I think people are just, you know how Phillies fans are, man, how they are on Twitter. They right now he's pitching well. He's had a few good starts. Not like he's had one good start. He had a few good starts. So I give Vince the props where I give him right now. But I'm with you, man. I'm not sold on it. Give me a full season. Yeah, I'm right there with you on Vinny Vila. Also the bullpen. The bullpen hasn't been good. Okay, they're not as bad as they were last year, but they still haven't been good. Hector Neris has been good. Sam Coonrod has been really good. And I think that's one guy we didn't expect to be really good. He's been really good. Alvarado's been good reliever. He's been kind of been up and down. If he just locks down that command, he's going to be probably the best reliever on the staff, to be honest, if we go the whole season. But the bullpen's still really bad. They're bottom 5, bottom 10, according to Fangraphs, I believe, in relievers ERA. How do you feel about the bullpen right now? You got David Hale, who's not very good. You just got other guys who just aren't good. Well, what are your thoughts on the bullpen?
Yeah, you put out a good tweet the other day where it's like David Hale has the fourth or fifth best ERA in the bullpen at the moment, and Phillies fans hate David Hale.
People,
Uh,
excuse my language, people shit on David Hale, and
they
he
despise that
look.
man.
And I get it, man. Whatever. Like he's probably someone to pick on just because of his look and stuff like that. But yeah. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, it puts things into perspective. And look, Archie Bradley being out is
Yeah.
really, really killed this team's chances of having an above average bullpen. They need him back soon. I believe he threw in AAA last night. That's a good sign for his rehab. Yeah, Sam Coonrod, where would this team be without him? He's been fantastic. Jose Alvarado, Hector Neris, for the most part, has been good. He's had a few blips, but we're kind of accustomed to that with him. But yeah, just the depth, right? The back end of this bullpen, similar to how the starting rotation is organized, it's just not good enough. Brandon Kinsler hasn't been very good. Connor Brogdon has had his moments where he struggles. Jojo Romero, he was really bad when he pitched. It looks like his season might be over as well. So there's no depth. I mean, they had Eniel De Los Santos pitching against the Braves. Like, it's just a disaster. And that's not something you can fix in one off season because you can't just go sign 15 relievers and throw them all in AAA. This is due to the organizational failure to develop and draft prospects over the last couple of seasons. With that said, the only way to fix it in the short term, you got to keep throwing money at the problem. You got to keep trying to pick up those Sam Coonrod, those Jose Alvarado-esque trades, because those two were really good ones. That was really, really good moves from Dave Dombrowski. But yeah, the bullpen, it's probably still going to be bad until multiple new arms come into the building.
Well, what do you think about Spencer Howard though? I mean, do you expect him to come up towards maybe July, August, and really contribute to this team because he's in AAA right now, and from what I've seen, he's looked pretty solid. I mean, what about maybe going at that point a 6-man rotation, and maybe Howard can contribute in some way. Maybe he doesn't give you a lot of innings, but he can give you something. How do you feel about Spencer Howard though? Come later towards the season.
Yeah, I'm still pretty high on Spencer as a prospect. I still think there's a ton of potential there. I think it just is going to come down to the organization, what they want to prioritize. I think the best role for Spencer in 2021 is probably as a bullpen arm, whether that's in an extended role where he's giving you 2 to 3 innings, or if it's just coming in and taking down an inning and giving you 110%. But I know they've reiterated that they're trying to stay committed to lengthening him out as a starter moving forward. So that's kind of a conversation that I think Dave and Joe are going to have, where it's do we just need another arm in this bullpen? And Spencer's our best arm, so he's going to come up in July and in August whenever they make that decision. Or are they going to continue to try to strengthen him up, get his stamina up for the 2022 season, where hopefully he can be in the rotation and then stick in the rotation for the full season?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the right move. I think a lot of people are, complaining about the back end of the rotation, rightfully so. But I think so I've seen some people saying, "Oh, I'll give Spencer Howard the shot." Now, I think you don't want to mess up any more prospects. He kind of messed up Kingery a little bit. I mean, Kingery just isn't. You mentioned this last time. I remember you were on here. Kingery has not been good. You don't want to do that to Spencer Howard. Let's maximize Spencer Howard's potential. But let's talk about the lineup. The lineup has been, I guess, been better lately. They showed up late last night. And a big contributor though, Odubel Herrera. He's been swinging the bat really good. Bryce Harper, thankfully coming back from that injury, could have been worse. Obviously, we're just thankful he's here. He's still swinging the bat like an MVP. What are your thoughts on the offense? Because I know I've seen you be tweeting about how you feel about Hoskins moving down the lineup. Like I said, Odubel's been swinging the bat well lately. What are your thoughts overall on the lineup?
Yeah, I mean it's a lineup, right? I mean it's still very top heavy, and there's a lot of talks of how if this lineup can carry over the form they had from last season, that they'll be really really darn good this year. Big problem is they didn't carry over that form. Didi's battled some injuries. Alec Bohm is in a serious sophomore slump at the moment. Reese Hoskins, his on base percentage continues to just get lower and lower and lower. Andrew McCutchen, granted, he's been heating up recently, which is so good to see, but he was unusable pretty much
You
through
were
all of
you were
April.
Brad Miller. You wanted you wanted Brad Miller to be that guy. You were every day you were tweeting that. I remember that.
I still think Brad Miller should be in the lineup pretty much every day. That guy
I
can
think
hit
you're
the
just a Brad
baseball.
Miller stan. Come on now.
I mean, well, look at his numbers right now. He's killing. No, no, in all
Small
seriousness.
sample
So yeah,
sizes.
yeah. Harper and JT, they're teams on their backs at the moment, and full respect to them, they are living up to their end of the bargain because they are putting in crazy performances. Like you just mentioned, Harper, his OPS is still over 1,000. His batting average is still over 300. Bryce Harper hitting over 300 over a month into the season. It's crazy. With that said, I think if this team really wants to ascend and get back to that 2020 caliber of offense, it's got to be Bohm. It's got to be Didi. It's got to be Hoskins giving you a little more ability outside of just the occasional pop. Granted, he had an RBI last night, so that was awesome.
Right.
Obviously, Odubel Herrera is giving him a huge boost in center field. I don't know how long that's going to last. Probably not too long. But it's always just been about the complementary pieces, the bench, right? The bench has killed him this year. Can the bench get better? If these complementary pieces can just do their job around a Harper, around a Real Muto, that offense is looking darn good. We haven't seen everybody in the lineup put it together for more than a game at a time.
Yeah, and like I think, look, I think you can give Bohm a little bit of a pass, man. Look, he played what 45 games last year, and granted, he looked really, really good. It was like, oh my gosh. I still think like long term, he's going to be a really good baseball player. He's going to be a really good baseball player for this team. Look, every player goes through this, unless you're Barry Bonds or Mickey Mantle or Ted Williams. Every player is going to go through a slump, and hitters are going to, or not hitters, pitchers are going to figure out pretty early, and they're going to get you out. And now it's Bohm's, it's his job to say, all right, you know what, I'm going through it right now. I'm going to figure out though. Pitchers are figuring out how to get me out. How am I gonna, work around this? So, but as far as Alec Bohm, I'm not like too stressed about it. As far as Kutch, early in the season he sucked, but he's getting on base, man. 330 on base percentage right now is good, which just speaks volumes about how where the league's at right now. I think the league average on base percentage is like 310, 315, which is absurd. So I mean, I think Kutch is doing the job as leadoff hitter right now. He's getting on base. He's been getting hot. Um, Didi's been okay. I don't know how you feel about Didi Gregorius right now. He's been okay. He's been swinging the bat okay. He wasn't what he was last year. But like, how do you feel? Like, I want to get your extended thoughts on this before I let you go. Reese Hoskins. Okay, so he's kind of traded, the on base for being more aggressive. Do you think that's going to work out in the long term, or do you think? Well, how do you think this is going to fare for Reese Hoskins? His change in his approach at the plate.
Yeah, and I got to be careful here because if I criticize Reese too harshly, I'll get yelled at on social media. No, I don't know. Reese is such a tricky player to assess because you look at some of his, if you pull up his baseball savant page, right, and you look at his average exit velocity, his barrel percentage, his hard hit percentage, towards the top of the league, and then you look at his chase percentage, his whiff percentage, towards the bottom of the league, and that's just kind of who he is. He's either on or he's not. He's either smoking a baseball at 110 or he's completely whiffing. I just don't know if we're ever going to see a guy who can put together a complete offensive package where he's getting on base, he's driving in a lot of runs, he's hitting for power, he's hitting for contact. I just don't really think that's who he's going to be. If he wants to be the guy who goes up there and it's kind of the Joey Gallo approach of it's either going to be a strikeout or a walk, that's fine. That is what it is. But you can't bat second anymore, right? Like you're going to get moved down on the lineup, and you can be productive in that 6 hole, in that 7 hole. Look, for 4 weeks there, we got zero offense from the 7th, 8th, and 9th hole. So I think Reese being there, it's not the end of the world. If he wants to go back to drawing a league high amount of walk, go back up to the 2 hole. For the moment, again, it's just kind of pick your poison. I'm fine if he wants to go back to trying to hit 40 homers this year and having a lot of strikeouts and a low on base percentage. It's obviously not what you want out of a guy who you thought was really going to kind of be your version of Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, this guy you grew him up through your farm system. You expect to be this multi-time all-star. He's probably never going to get there. I think we just have to come to terms with that. He can still be productive, but again, it just might not be in the cleanup spot. It might not be in the 2 hole. He might just be better suited for that kind of 6, 7 spot in the lineup.